People that pay attention. So you've probably heard that famous expression, people that pay attention. And I want to talk about that a little bit. It's a balancing act because some people are too generous and give everything away for free, and then other people take advantage of them. Whereas other people are like too stingy and they try to monetize every single penny and have no generosity. Like, you have to have generosity of spirit, but not to the point where it bleeds you dry. And that middle ground is different for everyone. So let me first talk about content. So what happens is money follows attention. So if a lot of people follow you, you can monetize it. You can monetize it on online courses. You can monetize it on Patreon, Substack. There's a lot of different platforms that allow you to, YouTube, that allow you to monetize your audience. And it's true that people that pay for something value it more. They find that if people get things for free, they discount it. Like in life, it's the famous expression that people value more what they had to struggle to get, and this plays out in content, business, jobs, relationships. So it's not a matter of playing hard to get, because if people feel like you're manipulating them, then they run the other way, and people have a high BS detector. So people that play hard to get is kind of like a game, and that invalidates the whole process. But people actually that have a lot of value and are not playing a game, but just are charging a fair price for their value. Like, you wouldn't go into Saks, Cartier, whatever, and look at a $10,000 diamond or $100,000 diamond and offer $10 for it. People do that in relationships sometimes. Like, they have a great relationship, but they're not putting in their dues. And it's the same thing with online courses, that if you're a well-known entity and people trust you and you have an audience, you built up the value, people will spend $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, for a course or coaching or whatever it is. But if you're still trying to prove yourself, then you probably won't be able to charge quite as much. Now, there's a big debate about high ticket versus low ticket. I won't get into that, but the idea is that people that pay attention. Like, if you spend your hard-earned money on something, that's why they say there's a famous expression: no one ever washed a rental car, meaning that if you don't own it, people don't take as good care of it. That's why people take better care of their houses than they do their apartments, because an apartment, they know they're going to leave someday, whereas a house, they're going to try to resell it or stay there. So it's like more of a sense of ownership, more of a sense of pride. But you can take ownership in anything. Like, that's why they say marriages tend to, make people happier. Like, when you're committed to something, whether it be another person, if it's just easy come, easy go, then people are sometimes prone to cut their losses when things get tough. If you have a public declaration of commitment, and hopefully the public declaration is tied to the private commitment, that you're not just committed in public, but you're committed in your mind and in your heart and in your soul to it. Doesn't mean that things can't change, but they don't change that easily. You're not just going to go whichever way the wind blows. You're not going to give up at the first sign of difficulty. So Bob Proctor tells a story where his friend was poor, even though he was working two jobs, because he was spending more than he was making. And he invited him to a seminar about how to become wealthy and stay wealthy. I forget the exact title of the seminar, but he actually charged his friend, even though he knew his friend could hardly afford it, because he knew that if he didn't charge his friend would come one time and then never come back again, because he wouldn't be committed to making real lasting change. But then if he if he was committed to it, if he had what they call skin in the game, that's the idea behind burn the boats, that if you have no retreat. People have too many options. Sometimes they're not committed to things because they're like, if this doesn't work out, I'll try this or this or this. People that's what they mean by being hungry. Like, when you win the championship, I talked about this before, it's kind of like, well, I've made my money, I can branch out and do other things. Nobody can ever take my championship away from me. But when you're trying to make the NFL and you haven't made it yet, or you're in the NFL but you haven't won a championship, and people keep asking you, why haven't you won a championship, and why haven't you won the championship, and the sponsors don't want to sponsor you, and people think of you a certain way, then it's kind of like you're more hungry. So if you want to be successful, there's many different ways to define success. Know your true worth and charge what you're worth, but don't make it a game. Don't be like playing hard to get, like I'm trying to wring out every penny, and that you lose your generosity and your spirit, because what got you to people to trust you in the first place is that you were giving fair value, and that you were, not counting every penny. So continue to be generous, help as many people as you can, provide extra value, even more than people expect, but also know your own worth, and remember that people that pay attention.